Here is the part the modern engineering world still cannot fully reproduce. The medieval mason did not work from numerical drawings. He worked from geometry. There was no standardized unit of measurement that crossed borders. The foot in Paris was different from the foot in London. The ELLL in Strasborg was different from the ELLL in Vienna. And yet cathedrals built 500 miles, 800 kilometers, apart share exact proportional relationships. The method was called ad quadratum. The master mason laid out a base square with a rope, a peg, and a pair of compasses. To generate the next proportional module, he rotated the square 45 degrees and inscribed a new square whose sides ran through the midpoints of the first. The ratio between those two squares is 1 to the square root of 2. Stack that module up the elevation of the building, and the entire cathedral emerges from pure geometry without anyone measuring a specific length. A second method worked from the equilateral triangle, ad triangulum, side-to-height ratio of 1 to the square root of 3 over 2. In 1391, the Lombard masters laying out Milan Cathedral hit a problem. Their ad quadratum ground plan generated a height that could not be cleanly resolved ad triangulum. So they summoned a mathematician from Piacenza named Gabriele Stornaloco. His written opinion, delivered on the 13th of October 1391, rounded the theoretical height of 83.138 units to 84 units, so it could be divided cleanly into 6 modules of 14. That document is the earliest written record we have of a medieval cathedral's proportional design being negotiated on the work site by professional builders. The architectural historians Sebregondi and Schofield documented the surviving correspondence in a 2016 article in the Cambridge journal Architectural History. The most famous surviving evidence of how this was done sits in the French National Library in Paris. The sketchbook of Villard de Honnecourt, drawn between 1225 and 1235, is roughly 40 pages of medieval architectural geometry. 6 of those pages document Reims Cathedral. Villard drew rose windows, vault sections, tower elevations, and full-size profiles using compass and straight edge alone. His instructions for squaring a circle, for transferring a vault profile to a small parchment, for deriving a window's proportions from a generating polygon, all of it is geometric construction without a single number. This is what made the banker mason indispensable. Once the master had drawn the lines on the tracing floor, the banker mason cut the stones to those exact templates. Stones arrived at the wall pre-fitted. The masons on the scaffold were not cutting stones in place. They were lifting stones whose shape had been settled before any of them was raised an inch off the ground. That is why the joints on surviving Gothic masonry are so tight. Every block is a piece of a puzzle whose shape had been decided in plaster a week before it ever saw daylight. By the time a mason reached the rank of master, he had been on building sites for 20 years. He had survived an apprenticeship, a wanderjahr, and a journeyman period of usually 3 to 4 years. He had cut stones for a dozen cathedrals across 2 or 3 countries.